Works for me.
Hello, everybody. We are back. It is the first official Talkin Jacks of the season. We are out of preseason mode. My name is Alex Warren. I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Ben Gosshorn. Ben, welcome back to soccer.
Woo! It is not officially our season yet, but we are a week away as of, well, not quite today. When you hear this, possibly it'll be...
Yeah, when you hear this, it'll probably be about a week out.
But yeah, we are on the cusp of the 2019 season, and we actually have meaningful soccer to watch this weekend. Other teams, but there's U.S. soccer to watch this weekend, which is pretty cool.
Yep, the league kicks off. I believe the first game is Friday night. I could be wrong about that. I know we play on a Friday night, which is a little random. Unfortunately, that is going to keep me from attending, but I will be there. I'll be there in spirit. But we're not here to talk necessarily about that game. We're just going to talk about the season as a whole. We're going to kind of recap the off season and all of the changes and get you ready for week one, where we'll have Talkin Jacks Extra, just like last season. We have a great guest lined up to talk some Indy 11 next week. So we're going to get the ball rolling. It's that time again, and we're both really excited. Hopefully, going to do some new things this year that we're still in the works. So I'm excited to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be another fun year. It's gonna be another busy year, I think, too. But we shall see. But as busy as it will be this year, it was a crazy off season, to put it simply.
That's for sure.
To briefly recap, in case you've been under a rock since the first week of December, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but regardless. We have a new coach. We have a new GM. He's switching roles, but he's a new GM.
Yeah.
And Mike Jeffries, former coach, of course. Our head coach now is Jim McGinnis. So it's going to be interesting. There's definitely some changes. A few, to put it simply. Some roster turnover. We've re-signed... We only re-signed, 6 players.
Are you counting Enzo in that 6? Or is Enzo a new player in your mind?
No, that's actually without including Enzo.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah.
That's fair.
But it's 7 in a way. But still a lot of new players coming in. Because, if you think of it, you generally want, 18 in a squad. So it's a lot of people. New people.
You want 18 in a game day roster. You want ideally you'd like to have 22 in a squad, but it sounds like the Independents are going to roll a little bit light this year, which that's something that Coach McGinnis has talked about already with the fans and the media. He's mentioned that he likes to have a small squad. I know Louisville has had a lot of success, obviously, with a small squad, so it's definitely doable. But it's going to be something that we're going to have to manage the injuries better than we have in the past. I know really the last 2 years we've had a lot of injuries, but some of that was due to having a lot of 32, 33 years and up players on our roster. This year we really only have Jorge Herrera as the aged one, I guess, if you could say. Whereas last year we had several in his neck of the woods as far as age range. But yeah, like you said, I was kind of describing it to my wife as everything stayed the same in terms of off the field, but everything on the field is absolutely different. The Independents has been in flux for almost every single season they've been around. This will be the first season that they will be in the same place for 2 full seasons in a row. Right?
Yeah,
because it was
as far as an actual home, I'm pretty confident in that.
Because I don't think Ramblewood was ever 2 full seasons in a row. I think it was half a season and then a full season of Ramblewood, and then half a season of Wandering, and then half a season of Matthews, and then last year was the first full year at Matthews Sportsplex, and this is just the second year. New ownership group has kind of fully gotten
Integrated.
Integrated. That's the word I was looking for. They kind of came in at the last minute. I think right around this time last year that deal was announced. So this is the first time we've had that ownership group in place in the off season, and obviously we saw some of the results of that. So it feels like a pivot year in terms of direction. It seems like this is the first year they've kind of changed the branding around. It's talking about building it for the future. There's a lot of talk about like today starts the journey towards Memorial, which is good stuff. We'll probably get a lot of questions about Memorial Stadium throughout the season. We tend to always do. So it's good to kind of have the team leading the charge in that kind of talking about that. But yeah, like how do you feel about all the off-season craziness?
It's been a roller coaster really, because I think I was one of the few people. I remember when we announced McGinnis, I think it was like me and Richard and like the core group of Jacks Militia, the main fans I keep in contact with, that woke up late that morning. So we woke up at like a normal time on a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. And
it was a Friday because I saw it at work. Yeah, I remember vividly that I was at work when it all happened.
Yeah, and it was. I didn't know where to start with everything. It was a thing where I didn't know if I needed to read up as much as I wanted or possibly could, or if I needed to get coffee or what I needed to do. It was a strange moment. I didn't, and then of course with all the jokes we have back and forth, I didn't know if it was real or not. So there's that.
You thought it was another Randy Moss situation?
Exactly. Like you don't know if it's a Randy Moss situation. What the hell's going on? But really, the longer I've had to process it, and big picture wise, especially reading his book and just listening to interviews and just talking with him too, because he's been very open, just talking with fans and things like that at the couple meet and greets and things like that the Independents have put on this off season, which have been fantastic, by the way. They've been great. Feels like we've had the most maybe fan interaction with players and coaches this year, which makes sense, I suppose, with the change at the helm. But I really feel good about him as a coach. I think his tactics will be interesting. And I don't know if I should be more concerned that the smaller squad we have, but I don't think it's fully set in that we have as few players as we currently have. But yeah, what about you, Alex?
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm like where you are at, but like take it down like a little notch. You know, I was a little bit more confused when we made the move. Like part of me was excited, but it was just kind of excitement because it was so strange. Like
yeah.
I don't know. It's not every day that your club hires a guy who's such like an experiment. It's definitely a like high risk, high reward type move. I think Coach Jeffries did a really good job kind of laying the foundation, and I feel like he should have probably been given maybe another year or two to try and imprint his coaching onto the squad. But at the end of the day, like I'm really glad he stayed with the organization and moved into more of a front office role. I don't know how much his job is going to change like going forward from this season, because it seems like they were working together in identifying some of the players. But yeah, like I don't know. The more, like you said, the more I've heard him talk about this year's squad, and now that we're actually signing players and we're seeing the players in action. I've yet to see the team be in action, but from what I've heard, like it sounds like things are coming together a little bit. I like the idea of the way he wants to play. Play hardworking, dynamic, pressing, move the ball. It's not going to be a huge departure from what we saw from Coach Jeffrey's squad tactically, but just maybe more emphasis on hopefully defensive shape and maybe keeping more clean sheets. I think that's something that could help us out. And I'm super excited to have Enzo back. I think that's like it's almost like the under the radar story, at least with maybe among our fans, just because there's been so much change.
Yeah,
seems like league wide that Enzo is making a pretty big splash, and he's always like the leading like news on our season preview type stuff. But I feel like we haven't talked about it as much because there's been so much other or so many other changes. But like having Enzo back is so important. I'm really excited to see if he lines up more at center forward or if he's going to be used more in the midfield or maybe both. I'm just excited to have him back on the field. Anytime you can get a player who's top 5 player in the league on your team, that's just a huge boost. So I'm excited about the season. I still think we're maybe a couple players away from maybe being a top squad in the East. But I think if we're consistent, if we can stay healthy, I think we should challenge for the playoffs and hopefully, get past that first round. That would be awesome. But we'll see. Yeah. I mean, it's a long season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a long season. Playoffs have changed as well.
Yeah, and
it's going to be interesting too. I'll tell you, I wasn't hugely fond of the playoff structure, which I think you were getting at.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's unnecessary. But I will say, McGinnis, in all his wisdom, did bring up a good point. The fact that there'll be 2 extra teams making the playoffs will make it more interesting later on in the season. Not that there was a ton of weeks later on in the season where just teams didn't have anything to play for.
Yeah.
But we did definitely get to those moments, I think. And we've seen it consistently in the USL season where I don't want to say 4th to the last week of the season, but later on in the season, you got some teams like Penn FC or, sorry, Richmond Kicker fans, Richmond Kickers, where they just don't have anything to really play for.
So they're playing at that point. The players are just playing for their next contract. Yeah,
exactly. So in theory, you won't have as much of that this year. So that is what makes it interesting. I think we definitely do have some pieces we do got to shore up and just some solid depth, regardless of how small our squad we're going to be. But I think the main thing I've taken away from the squad we put together, every one of our players are quality players. I think figuring out the tactics that McGinnis wants to run, the only thing I've seen in preseason has been a 4-3-3. He's said numerous times he has a love affair with Klopp, not exactly in those words, but he loves the way Liverpool plays. And I think we're going to see a lot of rotation in the midfield and the attacking players. So that'll be interesting too. Really curious where Enzo and Alex and Jorge are really going to land on the field, quite frankly, where they're going to be situated. But I feel pretty confidently that, well, I don't want to say that all 3 of those players will be on the field together, but in rotation, I think those players will be on the field pretty consistently, all 3 of those, which will be good. Like you said, though, I'm definitely happy to have Enzo back. 2016 and 2017, he was in the running for MVP. I think he'll return to that form. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits on the field to get to that point is going to be the interesting thing. But yeah, I think we've got some quality players coming back. One we haven't even mentioned, Andrew Gutman, who will be an excellent left back, which will be exciting to have.
Yeah, so that's a good kind of point. I just want to go down the roster right quick. These are just the players that have signed as of today, which is March 7th. Have signed and been announced, because we know that there's a handful of players who have been signed but haven't been announced because of paperwork issues. So if that happens before you hear this, just know that we didn't know about it. So we've got goalkeeper Brandon Miller, center back Hugh Roberts, midfielder Jake Ehrman, midfielder Afrin Taku, forward Dominique Oduro, forward midfield combo Jorge Herrera, midfielder Kevon George, defender left back Andrew Gutman, like you just mentioned, midfielder / forward Enzo Martinez, right back Joel Johnson, midfielder Alex Martinez, and defender Abdul Mensali. So that's the 12 guys as of right now. And like you said, all seem like really quality signings. That's one thing that I've noticed. It seems like the players that we've signed so far have been maybe a step higher than what we have signed in years past. There's some of them are still question marks, but it just seems like overall the quality of the squad is just a little bit higher than in years past, at least on paper.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how much quicker we're going to be on top of everything else. I mean, you look at not that pace was an issue last year, because I don't think Jeffries really relies on the pace in his style. But you can tell with Abdoulaye Mansale, he's very quick. I mean, he's a fast player. Damo Duro, extremely quick and pacey. Of course, Joel Johnson's up there as well, and Gutman's going to be fast as well. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to see play out. I'd almost wonder, as far as our team compared to others, that I can't even say if this is factual, but I feel like we're going to be one of the faster teams in the USL as a whole. May have to look into that a little bit more, just out of curiosity. Yeah. But
and that's something McGinnis has, I think, talked about. He's talked about wanting dynamic, physical wingers who can get in behind. He's just talked about that a lot in his interviews. Like you said, he has been pretty open about how the team wants to play. Like he's talked about wanting to play like Liverpool. He's talked about wanting to play with the ball, play with possession, but also be organized defensively, to press high. So I'm really excited about that aspect of the. I love the way Liverpool plays. So if we can match that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think it won't be boring this year. That's for sure. One way or another, I think we will. It'll be a eventful season. Yeah, I venture to say.
Well, so we kind of came up with a little game that we're going to do. If you ever listen to the Total Soccer Show do their season previews, you'll be familiar with this concept. But we're going to do a couple of specific predictions for the season, and then after this episode comes out, we want you guys to submit your specific predictions. And if your prediction comes true, you'll get to select a Talkin Jacks item of your choice from the Teespring shop, which we don't really have a shop. It's just we can slap our logo on pretty much anything on Teespring. So if you want it on a coffee mug, T-shirt, towel, whatever. So yeah, we'll do this. You'll see how it goes, and then we'll put out some more official, I guess, rules, because I'm sure we'll have some people. I won't name any names, Jason, who might try to cheat. So
Jason cheat? No.
Yeah, never, right? So do you want to go first? I know you had mentioned you had one good one right off the bat, so I want to hear it.
I've got I don't know how bold a prediction this is, but I think at the end of the season we will have 2 players in the USL first team squad, starting 11.
Wow.
I think
you think we'll have 2 players go be all league?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we'll have
that is bold.
Yeah.
Are you okay? I won't count this part against you. But who do you think the 2 will be? Who do you think the 2 will be? If you get this wrong, you can still win. Yeah. Okay.
I think Enzo will be up there.
That's a given.
The second one's hard for me because there's a couple players I want to lean towards, but I'm going to say Enzo and Hugh Roberts are going to be in the all USL first team starting 11 come end of season.
That's bold, but you know what? It's not outlandish. Like I could see it happening. Like if we have a good season, those 2 are going to have to be kind of Hugh Roberts will be the anchor of the defense, and Enzo will be, the anchor of the offense. Can you anchor an offense? I guess you can't really anchor an offense because that's kind of he can be the engine of the offense. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, that works.
Okay. My first specific prediction is that Jorge Herrera will outscore Dane Kelly.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's gonna. Ooh, yeah.
I think Jorge Herrera. It's gonna be close, but I think he'll outscore Dane Kelly this season. I don't know if he'll get to the record, because I think he trails by 3, maybe.
I think it's 3, yeah.
So I'm not sure he'll get to the record, but I think he will outscore Dane Kelly.
Yeah, that is a bold one. I mean, if nothing else, that is. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch that race play out. I think, especially playing them this second official week of the season. That'll be a fun one to keep an eye on.
That's one that I wish the USL would promote more. I feel like that's a really cool storyline to have 2 guys, in the league vying for the all-time leading scorer crown at the same time. But they don't really ever promote it. Maybe it's because they don't want to admit the fact that they didn't count any stats prior to 2010.
yeah. They want to ignore that as much as possible.
Or maybe it's even more recent than that.
There's a third person very close behind them. Within reason, who's still playing in the league. I can't remember. I can't exactly remember who it is, so I'm not going to name drop them because I've got a couple of my names in my head. But yeah, it's curious that they don't keep an eye on that as much. It's not as. Because you think, that's a pretty big story that 2 veterans are going to be going for the all-time scoring lead this season. So
yeah, I think Jorge's got about 10 years on Dane Kelly, though.
Yeah, Dane Kelly he's up there.
He's not as old as you think, or as young as, he's not as old as you would think. I think he's in his 20s still. I think he's around Enzo's age.
I thought he was minimum 30. I thought he was 33-ish.
Did you look it up?
He's only 28, so he's definitely a good bit younger.
I think he's the same age as Enzo.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, Dane Kelly's younger than I am. Whew, getting old. Yeah, but anything else you kind of want to preview for the season? Or
you have to give your next prediction.
Oh, I do have to do my next prediction.
Yeah, we still have one more prediction for the Independents.
This kind of coincides with my first one. I'm gonna say this isn't that bold of one, but I'm gonna say Enzo's gonna get 15 goals and 10 assists this year.
That's pretty bold. I think that would be career high in assists.
Yeah, I would think so. I think.
But if he does that, he's definitely a lock for best 11 though.
I think so. Yeah. I'm basing it on. I think he'll be high up there on the goal total. I think no matter where he's going to be on the pitch, I think he's going to be looking for goals. I think he's got a lot to prove this year. He's coming back home, playing with his brother. And based on how much they moved him around in Colorado, I think he's going to be that much better of a facilitator too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that's going to be. And the other thing to keep in mind, which is something interesting, I asked McGinnis at the Jacks Militia event not too long ago. I asked him who does he see is going to be the main scorer for the club. And he didn't give me a distinct answer, but he thinks it's going to be a score by committee type of thing.
Yeah,
where it's going to be the
see that.
hand,
yeah, I can totally see that.
Best success, and really that's the way. Even if you look at Louisville last year, where Cameron Lancaster scored 26, 27 goals, they've always scored by committee. So I think that's something you kind of have to go by. You can't just have one guy who's going to bang in a goal every couple games. You have to have different players on the squad that can contribute, because we've seen where we don't have different players that can contribute, where that kind of comes in to hurt us, when they don't have the hot hand. So yeah, 15 goals and 10 assists for Enzo Martinez.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too about scoring by committee. That's something we kind of lacked last season. I think we were always looking for who was going to be that third goal scorer. We had Cordell Cato and we had Jorge Herrera, and then after that it was a pretty steep drop. Ayman Zayed came on strong towards the end of the season and kind of took up that mantle but that was when Cordell Cato was out. So it was like
Exactly.
you really need 2 or 3 options on the field at the same time who are a threat to score a goal, or else you become too predictable. So I think if we can get Damo Duro and Mansali to chip in a couple of goals each, and maybe the outside backs to contribute a couple of goals, which kind of leads me to my next specific prediction, which is that Joel Johnson will score his first career goal for the Independents this season.
He still hasn't scored a goal.
He's
for us.
not. He's not.
I thought you were going to go to the other side of the pitch.
No, because I feel like that's not going out on a limb too much, because I think he scored like a ridiculous amount of goals in college. I think he scored like 7 goals just last season as an outside back, which is like a ridiculous amount of goals for an outside back to score in such a short season too. So that's, to me, that's not like going out on a limb to say that he's probably going to score a goal. But Joel Johnson has been one of our best players, most consistent players, but he's yet to get on the scoring sheet. So I think he's going to get one this year.
Okay. Do you venture to guess how he's going to get it?
I see, that's the tricky part. I think he'll get one. I think it'll be an open play. I don't think it'll be a set piece, because he doesn't ever really take set pieces, and he typically is the last man back when we do corner kicks and free kicks into the box, because he's he's the fastest player on the team and he's one of the better defenders. So he rarely gets opportunities on set pieces. So I think it'll be a open play, probably on like a counter attack.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I was going to try to pull it up real quick, but I don't think I'm going to get it in a timely manner. Thanks, computer. But I wonder how many actual shots he's taken as a whole, like in his entire career.
I feel like it's not a lot, but I'm not willing to put a number on it. Maybe like 12. I just said I'm not willing to, but then I put a number on it. So
I'm going to take a guess. Yeah, I'm going to try to pull it up. Actually, I may be able to pull it up right now.
Yeah, go for it. We're not, we don't have anywhere to be.
Yeah, let me take a look at this real quick, because I think the USL's website is cooperating. Interestingly enough, this doesn't seem to work. Okay, it's not really cooperating. It's not
going to work. Okay. Well, if you can remember to go back and look that up later, you can let us know.
Yeah, I'll have to add you on or tag you on Twitter when I find that.
Okay, so do you want to do like one specific prediction for not Independence related, just as the league? Did you think of one of those?
I didn't think of one particularly, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Do you have one, I assume? Or?
So I this is not really going out on a limb, but I'm going to say that Nashville is not going to be as successful as people think. I think they're going to be like Tampa was the last couple of seasons, where they've tried to put together the USL All-Stars, but I don't think it's going to work on the field. I think there's going to be maybe some chemistry issues, some problems with like play style fit, that kind of thing. Plus, I don't know. They struggled to score goals last season with some really talented goal scorers. So, yeah, that's gonna be my prediction. I don't know if that's really bold, because we've seen teams go out and spend a lot of money and then not be all that successful. But no, I think there are probably I think they'll finish no higher than 4th.
Yeah, I think they're an interesting squad because, like you said, they signed, some fantastic players.
Yeah. But, and I'm not saying they're going to be terrible. Like I said, they're not going to finish higher than 4th, so they could finish 4th or 5th. Like, that's not a bad season. It's just I don't think they're going to go and do what FC Cincinnati did last season and just kind of dominate, except for Charlotte.
Yeah. I think, honestly, that's a disappointing season. If they finish below 3rd, if I was a Nashville SC supporter and my team finished 3rd, 4th or less, I'd be livid.
Yeah, that's fair.
Spent on the club. I think it's not the best. The amount of resources they pulled together, and the fact that they just signed their coach to an MLS contract which I don't know if I understand. I get the idea.
Oh, I think it's this. I think that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do.
I heard someone say, "Oh, maybe he was looking at other opportunities, so they were trying to get him signed so he doesn't go elsewhere." Which that I understand, but it's also like,
if he wants to leave a team that's about to go into MLS, then let him go. I just don't understand the thought process, and maybe we can get some insight on that when we talk to some of the Nashville people when we play them. But like, to me, it makes zero sense to lock him down now, because if he goes out and they struggle, like I am predicting, you've already signed him to be your MLS head coach. So like,
yeah,
he can't lose the job. So if they're terrible this season, if it's a disaster, what do? You have to buy him out and like fire him and pay him all this money. So to me, it makes zero sense. Like, you can I feel like they could have found a better head coach if he had wanted to walk away, or if he was threatening to leave, they could have upgraded, I'm sure. But that's just my one specific prediction outside of the Independents. Did you think of one, or you just want to move on?
I'm gonna TBD this one, because I mean I've got some thoughts on the league, but as far as like a main pinnacle one, I don't have one to be precise, to be honest with you.
Are you saving them for the USL show? Is that what you're doing?
No, I swear I'm not saving them for the USL show. Even though it kind of seems like I may be, but yeah.
All right. Well, let's do listener questions then.
Ooh.
We don't have many.
Okay.
Let me pull them up. Twitter's being slow. Okay, here we go.
Good old Twitter.
So, our good friend Matt, a.k.a. Bo Round and Round, he said, what's the history behind Truly Madly Deeply as the unofficial club anthem?
That's a
great question.
For Gary.
I feel like it's a Gary thing. Like,
yeah, I think it's a Gary thing that we don't know the answer in a way too. I think it's just a song he loves, and he was hell-bent on integrating it into the Jacks Militia lore, I suppose.
Yeah, Gary, if you're listening, or anybody, if you're listening who can tell us the real reason, just kind of tweet at us after the show or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Matt, I just don't know the answer. But it kind of took off. We had the scarf last year. So yeah, it's pretty well established at this point, I would say.
Yeah, it's I love it. It's a fun song that's easy to sing once you know the lyrics, of course. But it's a good anthemic song, I think.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about that the other day, just between us. Like, I don't know, original songs and chants are just so much better than something that you can recycle. Everybody's going to have the basic songs where you just kind of change out your team name. But anytime even if it's something quirky like Truly Madly Deeply, it's ours. So it's a little bit more special, even if it's goofy.
Exactly, and I think those are. I'm not a gatekeeper, and I wouldn't even try to be, but I definitely love the original songs and things like that a little bit more than the alternative. I just do.
That's fine. All right. Next question is also from Matt. He asks, heading into the team's 4th season, which I think it's the 5th season, isn't it? Or is it? I think it's the 5th.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point remains. Yeah. What have been the Independents' greatest and worst moments?
Oh, man.
We all know the worst moment.
Is there a single... I hate that this is going to sound super negative, but is there a single worst moment?
Oh, yes, there's a single worst moment. And you were there for it. Maybe you don't remember it because you drank so much.
The NCAA... I don't know.
That was the lowest I have ever felt as an Independence fan. I guess there are the 2 games, but to me that one was worse because we weren't down a man.
Yeah.
And it was... And
I still hate that deflection up in Richmond. or not Richmond, Rochester in the playoff game. The deflection goal that gave them the playoff game. I still like the amount of hope I felt before that. That may be the single highest and lowest I felt as an Independence fan in like a 15 to 30 minute stretch. Where like
I understand what you're saying, but like at least we were in that game to an extent, and like we scored that beautiful goal. Like we had good moments. I guess the end of the other game we had one good moment where we took the lead. But yeah, I would say that's definitely the worst moment for me, in my opinion, was the last season away at NCFC. It was just kind of demoralizing.
It was a tough one. I mean, it's what is your single highest moment as an Independence fan then?
I mean, mine is probably a little bit different just because I wasn't around for some of the stuff in the first season with the Open Cup run. I feel like most fans would probably go with that one, with beating the New England Revolution in the Open Cup on Jorge's like crazy wonder goal. I would, objectively speaking, that's probably like the biggest one.
It's got to be up there. I mean, it just the goal itself would have been remarkable.
Yeah.
I haven't looked too deeply, but I don't know that there's actual video of it.
Jorge's goal?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll find it for you. It's amazing. It's on YouTube. I feel like it's pretty easy to find, but if you can't find it, I'll send it to you. But yeah, I think there's a couple honorable mentions. Enzo's hat trick against Louisville, hat trick and red card.
That was a good moment.
That was one of the craziest Independence games. Like big crowd, huge. I mean, huge stakes. We were playing literally for first place that day, and we won. I felt like we dominated that game. I know we didn't have the bulk of the possession, but it felt like we were always in control, except for that one little bit at the end where Donnie had to save us with his crazy clearance off the line.
That wasn't the same game.
I think that was after Enzo got sent off, though.
I think so, yeah.
But
I feel like that was very late in the game.
Yeah, Enzo hat trick and 2 yellow cards for celebrating in the stands, which that was some BS. But whatever. Yeah. That's probably up there as well.
I think that's fair. I think that's a good high moment.
All right. Moving on. Next question is from Jason. He says, "Does Goose overshare on Twitter? Thinking of the Michael Bradley, Bob Bradley thing." I'm gonna go with probably. That was one you probably should have kept to yourself. For those who don't follow Ben on Twitter, what are you doing? Because great Twitter follower. Like, as popular as he is on this show, he's like 10 times more popular on Twitter. But anyways, this weekend, Goose learned that Bob Bradley is the father of Michael Bradley.
I was flabbergasted. Where I learned this from was when I was watching We Are LAFC, and I almost fell off the couch when I heard it because I was like, "Wait, what?" Like it makes complete sense.
I was gonna say, after you found out and you saw them like next to each other, did you figure? Were you like, "How did I not realize this before?"
Yeah,
because they look almost identical.
They do. They look very similar. But I was like, I would think I was more just surprised. I think I had to share it somewhere to begin with. I had to be like, how did I not know this? But I did learn in that moment that if you didn't know something that seems obvious, don't tell people. Don't tell people.
Or like, don't tell people online, because then they'll just be mean to you.
Tell people in a small, confined area, see how that goes, and then go from there.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, Michael Bradley is the son of Bob Bradley.
Yeah.
If you are a listener and you're just now finding out that that's true, let us know, because I wanted to see if Goose has company there.
I think I'm the only one that knew, or didn't know, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this next question is also from Jason. and he's asking. It's in reference to a tweet. It says, "Do you believe this?" And the quote is, "The team today could easily smoke the team from back then." And that quote is from President Jim McPhillamy, talking about the independents. I don't know which back then. I guess maybe 2015. So, do you believe this? Probably. I mean, it's kind of impossible to say because I feel like the roster in 2015 turned over so much during the season that maybe it would be hard to figure out which 11 players you would put on the field.
Exactly. That would be an entire episode right there. I would think, I mean, you think about it too. Like back then, we were allowed like 5 subs, and it was like Division 3.
Yeah.
So by default, like you think about it, like it was a different game back then. It was different.
Yeah, I mean the growth of the league is one thing that I feel like gets overlooked a lot. Like the quality of the league has grown so fast in the last like 3 seasons, and I expect it to be even higher quality this season than it was last year. So I would venture to say like if you just think about the quality of player that we've signed this season. Compared to maybe the quality of player that we signed in 2015, I would say that this team should beat the team from 2015. I mean, obviously there's a couple of holdovers. You got Alex, Enzo, Jorge, and Joel Johnson maybe all played on the team in 2015. Or did he join in 2016?
Yeah, I forget exactly when he joined in 2016, but I think it was later in 2016.
Okay. Well, then even more. So that helps my answer. Because like Joel Johnson would probably smoke any left back in the league for the most part.
Yeah, almost all of them. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all the listener questions. Our listeners are still in off-season form, but that's okay. Because once the games get going, I'm sure they'll be asking tons of questions, and we'll have to be hard at work again. So, do you have anything else you'd really like to add other than what we've already spoken about?
Not that I can think of. Indy 11 does go on the road and play St. Louis on Saturday. I think it's like an afternoon time frame. That's what's really cool about the Saturday games is they're fairly staggered. So you'll be able to basically watch soccer all day long again.
Sweet.
So that's really cool. It's exciting. But yeah, soccer is almost here. Whether or not it's technically here where we are, it's almost here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to the first game, but I'll be paying very close attention. And we'll talk all things week 1 next week. We'll hopefully have some more player signings to talk about by then. But if not, we've got 12 players, so we've got enough to field a team with 1 sub.
Technically, we have enough players to field a squad, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah. So, appreciate everybody for listening. Like I said, we're gonna try some new things this year. Some of them are probably gonna be great. Some of them might be terrible. I think we're gonna start putting the shows on YouTube. So if you want to watch us talk, you can do that. I don't know if that's your thing. If it is, then absolutely go for it. We'll put a link to our YouTube channel in the description of the show, and you can go there and watch us talk to each other on a screen. So yeah, Ben, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope all of the listeners enjoy their weekend. I think it's going to rain again, so maybe that'll be the end of it. I'm so sick of rain.
Yeah, I think we keep getting teases of spring.
Yep, that's a good way to put it.
I hope it's here next week because soccer will be here regardless.
Yeah, but we have scarves at least if it's cold. And the team is selling new jackets, along with the new jerseys and everything in the store. So you can bundle up with all Independence gear. for the first game. So we'll talk to you guys next week. And as always, come on, you Jacks.